Hi everyone, hello and welcome to this new vlog. Today I'm going to show you one of my machines, which we didn't actually buy for Christmas, but we intended it as a Christmas present for ourselves. I ordered this machine around the end of November, and I have to say it's probably the only thing I've ever picked out from a Facebook ad. I don't like Facebook ads because usually they're either selling useless things at 10 times the price or there are fake stores behind them. But I looked into this company since I saw it pop up so many times, and if I'm not mistaken, it's a Danish company. For some reason, that made me trust them because I have a really good opinion of Scandinavian things, so I thought I'd give it a chance. This is basically an ironing machine, and as you can see, I've already prepared what needs to be ironed, and I thought I'd share my honest opinion about it with you. Overall, my opinion will be positive, but you really have to learn how to use this machine. If it's not quite as simple as they show in the videos, and it won't actually iron everything, but overall, I've had a really good experience with it, so it's worth it for me. Also, I found very few user videos about it on YouTube, so I hope this video will be useful for you. Usually I only found the manufacturer's videos, and, well, manufacturer videos are always wonderful and perfect, and everything always works great in them, so I'm trying to give you a more comprehensive video about this. You see this basket here because I just took it out of the washing machine. From the washing machine, these clothes. And the first and most important experience is that you need to iron clothes while they're still wet. If you put them on dry, the effectiveness won't even come close to what it is when you put them on wet. I had to rethink my own routine because I hadn't been doing it this way until now. I used to put shirts, blouses, and pants on hangers, let them air out, and then put them in the closet. And when I went to work in the morning, since I work in an office, I would iron them fresh then. This just won't work as well as method. Okay, so it will iron them, but they won't look as nice, especially if we're talking about button-up blouses or shirts. And of course, it also depends on the quality of the fabric. But for example, a linen shirt, well, right now it's winter here, but a linen shirt just won't iron nicely when it's dry. So all of these here are damp and quite wrinkled, and I'm going to iron them for you so you can see. And over the past few weeks, I've also been recording myself ironing various clothes with it. I'll show you that as well. It came with two accessories, one I ordered and one I received, and I'll show you those two. One of them is this pants attachment. Imagine, you can even iron pants with it. The other is a dress, a similar inflatable material designed for dresses. So you actually need to raise this a bit to make it longer. There's a telescopic rod underneath, and then you put this clothes hanger on it, and you pull the garment over it. As you can see, it's quite long, and the material is extremely fine. But I'll also iron a dress and show you that as well. I also ordered this kind of sprayer for it, which honestly was a completely unnecessary waste of money, because you can use any household plant sprayer. Just fill it with water. You just spray the garment with it if you didn't just take it out of the washing machine and it's simply wrinkled from the closet. It dampens it a bit, and then you can put it on the machine. But as you can see, nothing special, just a regular sprayer. And then there were these accessories included, which are basically weights. I'll show you these as well. But basically, when you're ironing a shirt, you attach them to the bottom like this. You put them on, but I'll show you. And this helps the fabric stretch out better, making it easier to iron. Honestly, what I couldn't figure out is the clip, what it's for. Maybe the manufacturer will let me know, because I have no idea what the hanging clip is for. But I got 4 of those as well. Let me show you the basic operation of this iron. So basically, this is an adjustable, size adjustable iron, which means that here, if you look at the side, I hope you can see it, there are zippers. According to the manufacturer, it can be adjusted from size XS to XXL, but I'm not so sure. So about the XXL, I don't know. I'd say it depends more on the style. It won't iron an A-line dress as nicely. I'll show you an example of this. Or rather, not as nicely, because the shape will fall apart a bit on the sides. But even so, it will still iron it. Still, I think that this will be perfect up to about an XL size. For some reason, I'm ironing everything on the highest setting right now, but it's going to be a bit hard to pull this down with one hand. But basically, you can expand it like this, and then there's another zipper underneath that you can unzip. And that's how this little shirt or shirt ironer becomes much wider, XL sized, which is what we'll be putting the clothes on. What I'm missing, What I would point out here is that, of course, I can logically figure out which size is which. But for example, if I unzip this, the S size, then this will be MS, and underneath it will be LS. Or how exactly the sizes change between each other, it's not written anywhere. So you just have to figure it out by trial and error. If the shirt isn't inflating as much as it should, you simply unzip this zipper, which of course is also found on the other side here, you see. And then you expand the material, and then there's another zipper here. I'll unzip it in a moment, but I'm just saying it's really hard to do with one hand. Now, the other function is that if you look closely here, I've zoomed in, you can see these tiny little holes here. These are what ensure that not only does this neck area heat up, but it will also blow hot air onto the shirt, top, t-shirt, or whatever you put on it. And this neck part will be the most interesting. So if you're ironing something with a collar, regarding this, I had to figure things out for myself, and I'll explain when we get to my opinion about it. This is probably the part I'm least satisfied with when it comes to this iron. Now, as for the basic operation, there really aren't many buttons on it. I see an on-off button, a power button, a timer to set how many minutes you want to use the machine, and a temperature setting. There's also a cool air function. Honestly, I haven't tried that yet. There's a shoe dryer, which was a huge surprise, and imagine I actually got to use it. I'll show you on the kids' boots. It's incredibly good. There's a 60-degree and a 70-degree ironing option. So far, I've always used the 70-degree one, the one on the far end. Otherwise, it's really easy to use. You press the on-off button, set the temperature, and if you want, you can decrease or increase the time. And look! It's already inflating. It just got caught on the wall for me now, but soon it'll be fine. Sorry about that, because I didn't unzip it everywhere. But really, that's all there is to it. And then through these little air vents, it starts drying the clothes. And honestly, it really dries them in 10 minutes. Of course, it depends on the material. Sometimes it takes 13 to 14 minutes, but it works really well for me. And now maybe you can see this zippered part better as I'm letting it out here. I can't unzip it with one hand. Well, okay, so I can't unzip it right now. Sorry, I just can't do it with one hand. But this should be unzipped here, and then you can put even larger clothes on it. Right now, on both sides, you can see that it's not set to the largest size. This is the largest size now. This is what they call XL or XXL size. And let's see how this works in practice, okay? I'm going to take it off the stand because this stand is too high for me right now. It's too tall. So I'll show you how to use it, okay? I'll be right back. So let me show you how to use this. A wet MS Massimo Duty blouse. I'm curious to see whether I'll need to iron it on the MS, S, or XL setting. This is a really good example. By the way, even though it's an MS, it has a little bit of an oversized style, and honestly, it doesn't even fit me correctly right now, because unfortunately, I've gained quite a bit of weight recently. But this is exactly what I pulled out of the closet today, so you can see how something labeled MS should be properly ironed. So what you really need to do first is carefully pull the fabric through the sleeve here, and then place it right here on the board. You see, this is an MS top or an MS shirt, and right now I'm ironing it on the XL/XXL setting. So if I had put it on the SS setting, it wouldn't puff up the garment this much. So that's what you'll need to try out, but honestly, I don't really have any SS size clothes yet. But based on my experience, you need to use the larger settings to fully inflate the garment. Let me show you, because this is a collared shirt, and here's something that can be misleading, but I think the manufacturer could improve it. This is just a suggestion. If you look, this is a woman's shirt, so imagine how much bigger a man's neck is, and even here, it doesn't completely fill out the fabric. So this is how I usually put it on, and from the outside, it looks like this. And it's true that it doesn't really iron the collar, so this could definitely be improved. But here's the good news. When I fold this down at the end, like a collar, it will actually iron it nicely on the inside. Still, if I were the manufacturer, I'd make the neck area about twice as big, so it would iron these parts perfectly. It's already starting to iron it nicely. If you look, it's shaping up really well here. I'm actually curious about this blouse myself because I've never put this on before. I just reached into my closet and grabbed it at random. I washed a few so I could try out different fabrics on it. This is actually a silk-like blouse. If you know Massimo Dutti, you'll recognize this as their typical material. But I'll check what fabric it actually is once I take it off. By the way, it's not easy to iron even with a regular iron, but it looks really nice when you wear it. We're at the 6-minute mark. Sorry, there are still 6 minutes left. So the machine has been ironing for 4 minutes. And on average, it takes 10 to 15 minutes. 1 minute. So I'd say it really depends on the fabric, how thick it is, and how much it needs to be ironed. In reality, though, it doesn't work exactly like this, where I just stand here, throw it on in the morning or after washing, and while I take a shower or get the kids dressed, it nicely irons whatever I'm going to wear. So it's actually really great. And there are still things you can play around with. Let me share some tips and tricks with you while I'm at it. For example, if I were to take this off here now, you see I'm showing you here on the side, this part is much bigger now because I put an MS blouse on it. And if I zip it back up from the bottom, I'll do it in a second. I just can't film and zip at the same time. Then it straightens out much better here. And this outer part won't be on it. I've already played around with this. I keep experimenting with these things. You know, this is what I was talking about. On this side, I zipped it back up. But here, I left it on XXL. And if you look, it spreads out much, much better. So honestly, this side zipper here can also be shaped to fit the garment. That's the other thing I realized. The default shape isn't always going to work. Sometimes you have to play around with the zippers under the clothes. It also matters whether you're putting an A-line dress on it or, like now, a shirt. Because if it's wider here, it actually pushes out the blouses here. I'm working on it. If you look, here it's already ironing beautifully. Now I've taken in the zipper on both sides, and it's shaping up nicely, if you look. Another interesting thing, I think, there are 2 minutes left, we'll definitely talk more about this material later, is that on the mannequin, it always looks like, if you check here, it's ironed out really nicely. But this part, not so much. It's not the buttoned part. One thing is that it will be like this, that you shouldn't iron this part 100%. When you put it on and it's finished, it will look different, and it will be just as ironed, but it won't look the same as if you ironed this detail. But on my mannequin, it always shows this as wrinkled or more wrinkled. For example, right now on camera, it looks completely wrinkled, but in reality, it's not. It's just that compared to the fabric next to it, which is stretched out, it will look totally different. Actually, you can iron this too, but I can imagine there are fabrics where you might need to go over it completely. If the 10 minutes are up, or whatever time you set, the machine will beep, and after about 30 to 40 seconds, it will lower itself automatically. I still haven't figured out, even though I've pressed the button, how to turn it off myself, because if I press the on-off button, it doesn't turn off. So I usually just unplug it from the socket at times like this. But actually, it shuts itself down, turns itself off, so you don't have to worry that if, for example, you go take a shower in the morning, there was the beep just now, if you end up staying in longer, it won't keep ironing the whole time. No, it will stop nicely, as you'll see in a few seconds, and it will shut itself off. The time has already run out below, and then it will turn off by itself. In the meantime, I'll show you something else. So from the outside, it looks like it didn't iron this part that much, but if I fold it down now, you'll see, sorry, I'm just showing you that it lowers itself nicely, and then you can decide whether this is good enough for you or if you want to put it back for a bit. By the way, it ironed the other parts of the blouse really nicely. I'm very satisfied with it. Now, there's still a bit of air bubble here. You can see the air bubbles at the base. And so, as I'm saying, you can see that compared to this, it looks a bit wrinkled, so I'll put it back for a bit. But when you wear it, it won't be a big deal. So I have to say, for shirts, I'd give it about an 80% ironing score, which is actually perfect for me. So for those who like it absolutely flawless, you definitely have to go over it with an iron. Or if you have one of those handheld steam irons, you can use that too. But it really won't be that bad once you put it on. Still, I'll give it a few more minutes because the fabric needs a bit more time. But let me show you the collar area I was talking about earlier, which is why I stopped before. So here you can see that it stayed a bit wrinkled on the outside, but if I turn it inside out, well, that's not easy with one hand, then it's totally nicely ironed when you fold it down. But maybe I'll show you at the end when it's finished, because it's hard to do with one hand. It's really coming along nicely now, and it just occurred to me that the reason it looks so wrinkled at this stage is because the shirt is fully inflated, and it's as if the shirt is too small for someone, and you can see here how the fabric is being pulled. But once it deflates, those pulls will disappear from there. So if someone with an XL body tried to put on an SS shirt, the buttons would pop off, just like in the movies. But this heavy fabric actually irons out really nicely. These marks you see underneath, don't worry, they won't stay there. That's just the pattern of the fabric underneath. But it's really coming along beautifully. And now comes the part that, in my experience, well, during my use of it, I use it. I don't like these clips at the bottom. It irons much more nicely without the clips, because if you look, they leave a mark. If I don't put them on, it would be perfectly straight there. So for me, this clip thing, this extra complication, didn't really work out. So I'm talking about these things you attach here. They always pull on the delicate fabric. So for example, a flannel shirt or a denim shirt, you wouldn't pull it, but since this is a silk blouse, it will definitely pull it and leave a mark. This is a thin, high-quality summer blouse, and this won't do it any good. So for example, I definitely won't put it on linen either. I did put it on my thicker shirts, and it worked great there. So if you look, see, it doesn't look bad. It just looked strange there, as it pulled the fabric like this, but it doesn't look bad. I'd say it's about 80%. The collar, too, it did a really nice job on that as well, if you take a look. I moved into this light, not sure how well you can see, but I'm satisfied with it. This is a blouse that's very hard to iron. It turned out really well. So I quickly changed the shirt on it. This is a flannel shirt, Marie Lunge brand, size 46. And if you look at it, well, this one is also wet. Wrinkled, really wrinkled. I pulled it through the sleeves, set the collar like this. I'll adjust it nicely in a moment, and let's see how it's going to iron it. For this one, by the way, I can use the steamer on the bottom as well, because it won't hurt this material. And in fact, it will dry and iron a flannel shirt like this in no time. Also, the ironing result will look much better here around the buttons. So let's see. So let's take a closer look at this together, shall we? Now, let's carefully set the temperature for this specific piece. Oh, sorry, I actually need to loosen it up a bit at the bottom first, because with the previous blouse we looked at, as you already know, I adjusted it to fit much better at the bottom. But here, I deliberately didn't loosen it beforehand, so you can clearly see that you can let it out right here, so it can easily go in a much larger size at the bottom area, because that was originally an M-sized blouse. But as you can clearly see, this is a size 46 shirt. So let's go ahead and let it out just a little bit more at the bottom. I'll show you exactly what I usually do when I find myself in this specific situation. Okay, now I've carefully loosened it up like this, and now we need to do the exact same thing on the other side. We will loosen the zipper right there as well, just like this. And then, after that, I think I'll put the weight right on the bottom. You see, this way it is going to be much better. When you see it sewn up like this, you really start to wonder if you are actually this fat. But yes, I really am this fat. I put a heavy weight at the very bottom, and now we can finally start the drying process. I will come back in about 10 minutes and show you the final result. Now take a good look at how beautifully this iron has pressed this soft flannel shirt. So that's why I said that the material matters, and it also matters how many minutes you iron these. And of course, I put this on while it was wet too, because that's when you get the best effect. It's really good. And by the way, it dried in 10 minutes, and the end result looks this nice. Now I'm going to swap out this shirt iron, or t-shirt iron. Time for the clothes iron, which needs a longer rod. Like I said, this is a telescopic rod. And let me immediately give a bit of criticism about the telescopic part. I think the manufacturer could have done a better job with this. The plastic screw is a bit awkward for me and doesn't seem very stable. And it would have been nice if they had built a more robust telescopic system where you don't have to keep screwing it. But regardless, it still works. Now it's nice and long, nice and tall, as you can see, and I can put the garment form on it. onto which I'll now put a longer dress, which is also an ink, just a tunic-like ink, which wouldn't be suitable for my t-shirt ironing part. So this is a size 40 Marie Lund dress. It's incredibly hard to iron because it's made of very thick, high-quality cotton material. Honestly, I hardly ever even tried with a regular iron, but this steamer irons this little dress unbelievably beautifully, so I've been wearing it a lot lately. Just look at how nice it turned out. It's simply perfect the way I ironed it, and the neckline. And the collar also turned out perfect. I'll show you this on a white shirt later, because the collar will be much more visible there when I show you a mix of things. So now I thought I'd quickly edit together a few clips of my recent ironing sessions. What makes me happiest is that I can even iron sweaters with it. I took these sweatshirts and put them on, and in 10 to 15 minutes they dried, just like the cotton t-shirt, the striped one you see here. It irons them incredibly beautifully and flawlessly, which is a whole new level, because honestly, until now, I never used to iron my clothes at home, but it feels so good to put them on. And here's the collar I was telling you about. You can see how nice it looks here on the white shirt. It's really clear. It even irons the inside, even if it's not visible from the outside. And the collar of this striped shirt turned out nice, white, and crisp. And then, this is a dress with an interesting cut. That's why it flares out at the bottom. But it ironed this one very nicely too. And I never liked ironing it either, because it's also a thick little shirt dress from H&M, which was also hard to iron. Down there on the right, you can see a silk shirt, which is real silk, a lily silk shirt. And the machine handled that beautifully as well. And now here comes one of my surprise favorites, which is the shoe dryer. It doesn't matter if it's sneakers or, as you can see, a pair of snow boots. The other day, the girls managed to put their pants on wrong and snow got inside their boots, so the insides got completely wet. Well, in about 5 minutes, it dried the boots completely. This is just an amazing thing. From now on, I'll be able to wash all kinds of sneakers really well too. And finally, I saved the pants ironing part for last. I figured if it can handle this, it can handle anything. These are pants that look like jeans, but aren't actually jeans. Pants. These are Jake's brand pants, which I think are made of cotton, but they wrinkle about as much as if they were made of linen. And it ironed these pants really nicely. Even with an iron, I couldn't get them to look perfect. I don't know why I haven't sold them yet, but I really love these pants. But honestly, they're practically unusable because of how much they wrinkle. I'm going to put a pair of white pants in as well, and in the meantime, I'll summarize for you what you need to know about this iron. The most important thing, in my opinion, is that it's definitely worth putting everything on it. On average, it takes about 10 to 15 minutes to iron something with it. And in the meantime, you can do whatever you want around the house. I didn't really like these weights, especially when I put delicate, sensitive fabrics on it, like silk or linen. Even when I put MS Blues on it, I still had to iron it on the XL setting. And what I would suggest to the manufacturer is that XY, or there should be triple extra large expandability, because I think a lot of people won't be able to iron their clothes properly this way, since it really depends on the cut. Also, I would really appreciate if there were child-sized ironing forms available for it. I would at least double the size of the neck and collar area, so that it can be ironed thoroughly. And well, all you have to do now is subscribe to the channel, and we'll see each other in the next video. Bye!